updated. I did that on my personal computer when I couldn't work on my work computer. So that's all done, and I sent the link out early as well, so it's done. So that's me away for the rest of the week. Right. Cool. You'll be pleased to know I have absolutely no idea where we're going tonight. Except I've got some flow on a page, but yeah, we'll just see. We'll see. Last week was quite a small class, so we ended up, the recording from last week is pulling apart chair pose and low lunge. So if you're interested in looking at that online, it is online, and it just says it's just a small class, so it was a kind of workshop base. Pardon? And sitting, yes, and sitting. Are you comfier? Excellent. Right. So we're just going to take a moment in your comfy seated position that you've worked on. And welcome everybody. Just allow yourself a moment. I have another magic trick as well for you tonight, which is good. Pardon? You're cold? Yeah, it's definitely warm. Yeah. Take a moment. Just allow the spine to lengthen. And we're going to inhale both arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, interlace the hands behind you. Draw the chest gently open, knuckles gently down. Sweep the hands all the way up to the sky. Take cactus arms, taking the chin to the chest. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bring them across to the left-hand side. Inhale, lift. Exhale across to the other side. Inhale, back up. Exhale, chin to chest, cactus arms. Interlace the hands, draw the hands gently behind you, just tuck the chin. Take the hands forward, so you can either hop to a stacked back, or you can just come gently. And just take a moment here in stacked back. So just push away from that, so you're just lifting the body up slightly, and then draw the shoulder blades together. So we're protracting, retracting. Shoulder blades just lifting up. And then drawing them together. Bring yourself to step back position. Just find where there's a broadness across the shoulders. Inhale. Exhale, draw the core gently in. Inhale again, let the belly soften. And exhale, draw the core in. As we bring ourselves into cow, we inhale, we bring that into our movement. As we round the spine into cow, we exhale, draw the belly in. Inhale into cow. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale into cow, bring the heels towards the body. Exhale, tuck the toes, hover. Inhale, back into cow, bring the heels towards you. Exhale, hover. Change it up and modify if you need. Draw the knees down, inhale, cow. Exhale, hover. Bring yourself all the way to stack back. Draw your hips to your heels and come down into just a gentle child's pose. Take a moment here. So whether it's traditional balasana with knees together or knees apart, just take a moment. And walk the hands across to the right-hand side of the mat, just allowing a stretch, one hand in front of the other. Drop that back hip, the opposite hip, the left hip. Walk the hands across. I know we're missing Laura, that's it. Cross to the other side. Allow the hip just to make sure it's not lifting or rising too much. All the way back into child's pose. Walk the hands gently towards you and come just gently behind. You can either open up the hips if you want, or you can just open the chest. You can keep the, kind of the hips and the heels together. Mind you don't go up in smoke if you've got the radiator behind you. All the way forwards. And we're going to walk ourselves into downward facing dog. So give yourself some space. Just tuck the toes, bending the knees, lifting the hips up high. Just padding downward facing dog. Just take a moment here, back and forwards. Lifting the hands if you want. Just feeling the core gently engage. And then come to some stillness in downward facing dog. So just allow yourself, push away from the hands. Allow the arms to just push gently towards each other. Engage the core, bend the knees, lift the hips. Allow the neck to just lengthen. Lengthen the back of the legs. Take a moment here with the breath. We're going to come forwards and come into a high hovering cat. Just hover cat here. Just warming up the core. You can always come down to the knees if you're not keen on a hovering cat. All the way back up to downward facing dog. Anchor the right foot. Lift the left foot all the way up into tripod. Bring the knee all the way up and into the nose. And lift all the way back up again into tripod. Bring yourself all the way through to a little low lunge. You can bring the knee 90-90 underneath you, or you can keep a stretched low lunge if you wish. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Plant the hands. Allow yourself to take a little vinyasa or come to child's pose. Your choice in vinyasa. Knees can come down. Come to cobra if you wish. Meeting in downward facing dog. Anchor the feet here. Come up and over into that little hovering cat, or bring the knees down to the mat if you wish. Or the way back up. Anchor the opposite foot now, lift up into tripod on the other side. Step all the way through to low lunge. Choose where that back knee comes down, sweep up. And take a little vinyasa. So just to warm up at the beginning of our practice. Your choice. Meeting in downward facing dog. Stepping or hopping to the top of the mat into Uttanasana. Take a moment here in Uttanasana. Bring the weight over the front of the feet. So bend the knees if you need, just to soften, or you keep straight legs and allow yourself just to bring that weight forwards. Inhale, flat back, so hands above or below the knees. That allows you that length. Maybe just tuck the chin down so that your neck is along with the spine in line. Draw back into that fold. And then you can come up, raising yourself up, or you can bring hands to the hips, elbows together, lift until we come all the way up. Hands to the heart. Are we warmer? Excellent. You can go home now. Oh, no, you can't. Right. we're going to play. So just a bit of warming flow, I think, tonight. So enjoy. At any point, just change it up a bit if it's a little too much for you. Take a child's pose if you would like. And it is actually, I'm warm as well. Ooh, take my furry layer off. Be fine. Actually, I'm quite warm. Right. So we're going to bring our feet together at the top of the mat. And I said yesterday, it's a bit faster, I guess, in Hatha Yoga than in Yin. But I brought a flask last night and it was quite nice to just have a warm drink. So you're very welcome to. Take a moment in mountain. Just gently feel the heels, the front of the feet, the sides of the feet. And we're going to inhale, lift. Interlace the thumbs as they come to touch. Lengthen a little further through the front body. Sweep the hands gently behind you. Interlace, opening the chest. Bend the knees, engage the core as we allow ourselves to fold. Gently release the hands, bring them up, one-legged mountain. Take your right hand side up. My right ankle's going to move. Bring the foot in front of you, pushing through the foot. Inhale, one-legged mountain. Exhale, warrior three, hands to the heart, airplane hands or hands in front. Back all the way to one-legged mountain. Little figure of four, cross the ankle. Hands to the heart, elbows to heel and knee. Don't worry if you're wobbling, I am too. Inhale, lift. Step back to high lunge. Thunderbolt pose as we bring the hands forward. Hands to the mat. Come to child's pose for a moment or take a vinyasa of your choice. Work through your vinyasa. Wherever you are, whether you're taking a breath in child's pose or whether you're taking a breath in downward facing dog. We're going to meet after a few breaths back in mountain at the top of the mat. Just drawing yourself gently up. Hands to the heart. Take a pause. Take a moment. And for that balance, just feel that real connection. So if you have got a wobbly floorboard and you do need to just shift the mat slightly, do just take a moment to shift it. Okay. Going to inhale, lift. Interlace the hands. Lengthen through the front body. Sweep the hands gently behind. As we fold, just allow ourselves to bring the hands gently behind. We're going to gently release the hands. Come onto the opposite foot to balance. And allow yourself to one-legged mountain. Push through the heel to allow yourself into that kind of big toe pose, beginnings of. Just working on that hip flexor. Back all the way to one-legged mountain. Exhaling for figure of four. Taking a moment here. Coming all the way back to one-legged mountain. Use that drishti, that gaze, to really root. Allow the foot to root through and connect with the mat. Forwards to Virabhadrasana 3, Warrior 3. Forwards, one-legged mountain. Stepping gently back to high lunge. Thunderbolt arms at the front as they come forwards. Unless you've got any lower back issues, straight leg at the back. If you have got lower back issues, you can tuck that knee just gently so it softens. The tailbone just moves gently. Either to a child's pose or take a vinyasa. So I'm going to take a high plank to a low plank to up dog. Choose your vinyasa. Spending time either in child's pose or downward facing dog. Allowing everyone to come back down to child's pose, to join you in child's pose. Taking a moment in child's pose. Sinking the hips to the heels. Allow yourself to adjust if you need with a blanket. Take a deep breath so you're inhaling side to side, front to back, and the torso. And then gently come back up to a stacked back position. We're going to just tuck ourselves into downward facing dog, lifting the hips. You're going to anchor your right foot, lift the other into tripod. If you want to, while you're here, you can just open that hip, just bending the knee, allowing the heel to come towards the glute. Keep the weight even in your hands. Come back to tripod. And we're going to step all the way to lunge, just a runner's lunge. Taking a moment here, hands can be spider hands before we push up to high lunge. Take a moment here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave opposite hand to the knee, so your right hand at the top of the mat, right hand up, sorry. And you're going to take your other hand behind you. So you're coming into a little revolve twist. So I'm mirroring Sally tonight because I've got so many people in front of me. So I've confused you. So it's opposite. Yeah. So if you've got your left knee, it's it's the opposite. Don't worry. Or the way back up to high lunge, I should have said, because I've got so many people in front of me. Take a moment here, drop that back heel, allow yourself to come into a little side angle. So that back heel drops, that's it, excellent. Hand can come across and over as if it's shining a light, or you can drop into a fuller side angle by coming down to the mat, keeping the knee bent, just depends where you want to be. Now everyone's going to turn to runner's lunge, back to runner's lunge, pivoting on that foot. We're going to draw that back knee down. We're going to come to half monkey. So we're going to roll back on that heel. Now you've got options here. You need to shuffle that heel forward sometimes. With sticky mats, it's quite difficult. Hip is just above the knee. So you're in a little half monkey. Now, if you like, just watch this. It can be a deeper stretch. You can then sit. If you've got any knee issues, then just be careful. You can sit into this stretch. But just watch and be gentle with it. Some like that. I love it. But some don't. So then bring it up and tuck the foot, Sally. So it's bodies, all different. And then we're going to roll forwards into lizard. So bring the hands inside the foot. So well done, Gary. Draw the knee up and just come into just a little lizard or dragon as we are in yin. Take a moment here. Bring the knee down. We're going to draw ourselves all the way up into a pyramid pose. So step the back foot just to an angle, which allows you to straighten this front leg and allow you to either have hands to the hips if you're not touching the mat, or hands down to the mat, or on blocks. You can use blocks if you've got blocks either side. Take a moment here. Pivot back on that foot and drop ourselves into that 90-90 lunge. So the knee comes under you. So we're higher in this lunge. You can sweep hands out to the side or up, it doesn't matter. Okay. That 90-90 lunge is going to allow us to pivot on that back knee, extend the foot all the way to the front of the mat and come into a gate pose variation. You okay there, Izzy? I know, and it's absolutely fine. Everyone's at different stages. Take a moment back, pivoting into runner's lunge. So we're going to use the hands at the front, step the back knee up into little runner's lunge. Plant the hands, vinyasa, or come to child's pose. So just take a moment in plank if you want to, just to even up. And then allow yourself, wherever you go, whether it's child's pose or a vinyasa, to come into downward facing dog. Taking a moment here. I'm going to anchor the opposite foot now. Thank you. And then open and stack the hip. You know, you've been teaching folks for quite a while when they go, that's what she's doing. Take a moment here. Come back to tripod. And then step that foot all the way through to runner's lunge. Take a moment in runner's lunge here. We're going to come up all the way to high lunge. Drop that back knee if you need to. Now, if you've got your right knee at the front of the mat, keep your right hand up. If you've got your left knee, keep your left hand up, because we open. Don't worry, Aliska, you probably won't like to do this anyway. It's the opposite. Keep high lunge, Aliska, and then there's no twisting for you. It's like a revolved high lunge twist. That's okay. All the way back up. Drop the back foot at an angle now to suit the ankle. Come into a little side angle. Either coming into that side angle modification or dropping into a full side angle. Hand can come behind or in front of the foot. It really depends on how you feel. Come back, pivoting on that back foot. So we come to runner's lunge. This is where we're going to drop that back knee, come to half monkey. So we're rolling back, which allows us to roll that foot, that heel forwards to stretch all the way down. And you need to always, because these mats are so super sticky, just push that foot forward. This is where, if you want to, you can then gently sit down, but it's not for everyone. It does give a good stretch along the back of the leg if you enjoy that. You've been standing, have you? Yeah. So again, keep the variation where you're upright with the hips stacked over the knee if you're not so keen. And this is where we're going to roll back into lizard. So as we roll back in lizard, lizard is where we've got our paws together, Izzy. So they come to the side of the foot, and it's like a variation of a little kind of lunge, but we've got the hands inside. That's it. And it's a little hip opener here. You can keep the knee on the mat to keep it gentle, or you can step that lizard into a fuller pose. Really push into that front heel. Feel that lift in the body. Now, from here, we're going to come to a little pyramid. So you can almost bring the hand, walk the foot into the center of the mat. Step the back foot up slightly and place it at an angle. That means our stance is just a little shorter. As we push into that front heel, it protects our knee. Bring the hands, if you want to the waist. Allow length as if you're doing a forward fold. And then it literally is a forward fold. We come towards the extended leg at the front. One thing you can do here is interlace the hands gently behind you. Bow the head, allow the hands to rise, or you can even just gently take the forearms behind you. If we were warmed up a bit more, you could take a reverse prayer. It is still fairly cold. If you've got that, then that's fine. Draw your hands gently to support you. We're going to pivot on that back foot, come back down to that 90-90 lunge. That's where the knee is stacked over the heel and the hip over the knee. Hands can come out to the side if you wish, or up. I like to mix that about a bit. Come hands to the heart. Now on this back knee, we're going to pivot to the edge, the long edge of the mat. Extend the leg so that the edge of the foot is really into the mat. Lift up so we're in line, our whole body's in line. So if you've got a wall behind us, that's a lovely pose, Jenny, lovely posture. And then slide the hand down the extended leg into gate pose. Breathing into this side stretch. Gently come forwards. So we're now going to sweep our hands forwards. Allow the knees come together and just sink gently into child's pose. If you don't want to come into a full pose, bring the hands kind of stacked, and it just allows a little bit of height. So if you're not wanting to come right down to the mat, some people are not so keen on child's pose all the time. So just allow yourself. Gently arch through the back as we rise up to stacked back position. Move the hands gently as we come to downward facing dog. Anchor the left foot. Allow yourself to lift the right foot into tripod. Bring it forwards all the way to a runner's lunge. Push up to high lunge with thunderbolt arms. Sweep the hands gently behind you, airplane arms. As we sweep the hands forwards and up again, draw that lower lunge into this. You can still tuck the toe. Inhale. Exhale, bring the hands gently. Draw the knees together. Sweep back the hips, but move the hands towards you. And if you've got room, you're not going to burn yourself on the heater, open the hips, or just take a moment, just opening the chest. Are you okay, Liska? Push all the way forwards, walk the hands. You can always come to a stacked back position instead of downward dog, if that's not for you. Downward dog, if it is for you. If you're in a stacked back position, you can always extend the leg that we're going to work on now. So you're going to anchor your other foot, right foot, thank you, and lift into tripod. Oh dear, that's what a sleep does to you, Ingrid. Step forward, so now we're in high lunge. You can step forward, that's it. Bring yourself into thunderbolt arms. Take a moment with arms gently into airplane. Drop the back knee, draw yourself all the way up. And take a slow vinyasa, or come to stacked back position or child's pose. Just enjoy the vinyasa. So sometimes that slower, controlled movement. And then step gently to the middle of the mat. Take a moment in forward fold. Inhale to flat back. Exhale. And very slowly and mindfully, we're going to meet in mountain, whether you come to upward salute, whether you roll up, whether you hinge at the hips, meeting in mountain. How are we doing? We're okay. I'm glowing blue. Just look down, I'm like, dee. So I thought it'd be quite nice just to unpick a pose that we were doing in power yoga and maybe just pop it into a sequence, because I think it's one of those love me, hate me poses, half moon. And some people like it, some people don't. And if it aggravates your hip or anything, if you're not liking the asymmetrical, then I'm going to give you an alternative option as well. So we'll start with the alternative. Choose a side, any side. It's 50-50 chance I'm going to get it right. So it's because I had so many people that I just automatically went into mirroring tonight, Sally, and didn't even think about it. And that's unlike me. And then realized that you'd lost where we were. You're like, what leg has she just said? So what we're going to do, we're going to bring this into standing pose. And we're going to bring this. So if you're not keen and you get pain in the lower back, then we can modify this for you. So it's not going to be half moon. But when we fold, so if you fold yourself so you can come to the mat, what we're going to do, we're going to push into the mat with our standing leg and just allow ourselves to face forward with our hovering split here. Now, this back leg hovering does not need to be Instagram yogis, please. Okay. It can actually just hover off the mat very slightly. You can even soften the front knee if you want to, and that starts to engage the core. It doesn't have to be a pose that we recognize. It could just be working on strength and balance. It could be that you tuck the knee into the back of the leg. So while people are playing with half moon pose, you're actually working on the base, the foundation, which is allowing strengthening into this pose. And I'm bending the knee into the back of the leg. And then I'm pushing through that back heel. So I'm not even lifting. Use blocks if you want to at the front. Try it on both sides. So what I'm not trying to do is aggravate any joints. So I'm keeping just this little standing balance. Strengthening, just popping the knee into the back of the leg, pushing through the heel as we just engage. You might even want to take one hand off the mat, or maybe two, and come into a little standing balance. So you can start to work where you're comfy. Okay. Now, if you want to then take that pose into half moon, that's absolutely fine for you to do that. So what we're thinking of is we've got that facing forwards first. So when we come into this little balance, we're actually facing forwards. Now, if you've got a block, you can pop the block just out to the side, which will lift the ground up, okay? And it's here that that transition starts to happen, because I want to end up looking that way. I'm pushing through that heel, which is helping me at the back. And then I'm going to gradually, even if it's hand to the hip, I'm going to gradually turn and open the chest to the side. So before I even think about raising that arm, I'm actually allowing myself to lift that chest open. Otherwise, the shape that you get is a kind of like that, because my chest is facing that way and then my shoulder's in the wrong place. So I can't open the wing, as it were. It's a bit of a chicken wing. So think Kentucky Fried Chicken wings. All right. We did have once, didn't we? I had a whole session where it was like a food theme. I kept thinking, I haven't mentioned McDonald's yet, but there's a fair chance that I'll be having McDonald's chips tomorrow. So Izzy, are you okay with that? So have a play. So Gary, start first with that balance. All right. Hand out to the side to stabilize you. And then it might be hand to the hip. And then you might start to open, but it's one of the harder poses. Use the wall behind you. If you want to use a wall, you can use a wall. So it's great fun. Please do use the wall. Put your leg, and what that does, oh my goodness me, it's so much easier to open up.
If you're standing where it's straight.
Yes, so that way. So Ingrid, that's it. So you're just over, you're fine, you're actually fine pushing through the heel. Are you okay there, Corey? Leave it. Yeah, so do the standing split forwards. So Vicky, you probably need a bit more height on that block. On the side is more stable, or 2 blocks rather than 1. So just play while I'm coming round, and I haven't disappeared off camera, Rachel. I'm just having a wee look in class. So that's it. So now as you open and look the gaze to the side, aha, now your shoulder's in a better position. So either hand on the hip or raise the arm and then push through the arm. That's it. And you've got a lovely half moon. It's okay. Anybody else like a little bit of help, or are you okay? It's okay. If it's not for you, I've given you alternatives. So Amanda, not for you, or are you? Oh, then just have a seat. Go down into a reverse pigeon and just let your spine or constructive rest pose. So in fact, everyone, because we've just been playing, what you can do is, and Rachel at home, I can always go through that with you as well if you need any help. You can either come to a little butterfly seat here, and that just allows a little bit of the hips just to equalize, or you can do exactly what Amanda's doing. You can come down onto your back and you can come, oh, it's nice and warm here. You can come to reverse pigeon if that helps you a little, or even that constructive rest pose where you allow the feet either side of the mat, knees together, and just allow the spine to take on its natural shape. If you're past that and you want to have a play, and you're like, actually, no, it's movement I need, then have a play with a rock and roll. If you haven't had a full plate of pasta before your yoga practice, you might even feel comfy playing in plow, rolling. So when we play with these asymmetrical poses, it's always really important to come back down and just see if you can just take a counter pose. So Gary, all we're doing is just taking a little counter pose, just So where we come to something that's more symmetrical, because we've been playing on both sides. So we just allow that to happen. And for everyone, that is different. So for some people, that will be on your back. Some people will be rocking and rolling, keeping it active. And while we're here, just take a moment. This is not a yoga magic trick, but this is something that I have done it and I've done it and I've done it. And every time you can't not do it. It's a brain thing. No, I did nerve flossing last night. We'll do the nerve flossing in a minute if you want. Right. So we always do, apologies, I always come up with something. It's that time of year where I'm like, it's darker nights, I'm reading more. So no. So if you rotate your right ankle, right? This is just, it's not yoga at all. This is not yoga. And then what I want you to do in your own time with your right hand is draw a figure of 6. What happens to your ankle? Which way did it go turning? Yeah, it did. So keep doing it. So what you need to do is rotate your ankle right. So Rach, you can have fun with this at home with the kids. So rotate your ankle. So you're rotating it to the right. And then draw a figure of 6 with your... every time you rotate your right ankle to the right, it rotates to the left. So there we are. So now we're on that. You can go to the nerve flossing, which we did last night. So if you're wanting to do this, just take a moment. Actually, it's quite nice. If you're cold or you're cooling down, put a layer on, because we're 1/4 or so, and I'm not intending on winding down quite yet, but I don't want you to get too cool. So just take your nose for a walk, and it's a good thing to do after we've been doing some flow. Just allow yourself some time just to move the neck, and then move the ear towards the shoulder. And just as we did last night, just observe how that feels and where you're moving your neck to. And we can always come to boat pose in a minute, but maybe we start, yes, I like boat pose. So maybe start just rotating your left ankle this time. Have you done this with me, Izzy, before? No. Weird and wonderful tricks. So don't ask me what the physiological thing is behind this, but it works for most. So just rotating that ankle to get some real movement in the ankle. It's a good thing to do anyway after we've been doing balances. Taking it to the other side. Just take some time. You can always return to the ankle. So you just, the left ankle's feeling quite stiff. And then when you're ready, just come back every time to that rotation and see how your neck feels, whether it's easier, which normally anybody not feeling any difference. Generally does help to release a little bit of tension in the neck. So we're going to come up to downward facing dog, or you can come to stack back if you are not so keen on coming upside down again. So just going to come to downward facing dog. I'm just going to have a wee bit of a play here with movement. So pedaling the feet, so using any movement that's comfy for you. If you're in just a stack back position, you can shift the hips, you can circle the hips if you need, or you can play with the shoulders. And then either from stacked back or from downward facing dog, you're going to step to Malasana at the top of the mat. So we're coming into Malasana, into a little garland pose. Hands can be froggy hands on the floor if you want to. Take a moment here. Right hand's going to come behind us. Right foot's going to come across to the left corner of the mat. And we're going to sit. We're going to take the right hand to the right knee. Either you can stay here if you're not twisting, or you can take this into a twist. Bring the hands forwards. Allow yourself space. It's a bit like falling triangle. We're going to have to move back into Malasana. So we have to kind of unwind the hand. It's a bit of brain here. Now, left hand comes behind, left foot comes across. Allow yourself to, you can activate this leg by drawing those toes towards you, keeping the squat if you want to. That's a really good pose, actually, Liska. And then allow yourself to come into a twist the other side. Taking a moment here. All the way back round. Bring the hands so you can bring the feet now underneath you and step to plank. Take a moment here in plank. Now you've got a choice here. You can come to stack back, work with the hips. You can bring the knee into the center of the mat, come to a modified side plank. So you're using the knee to support you, which is also perfectly fine if that's comfy for you, Aliska, as well. Or you can come to a full side plank where you bring the hand into the center of the mat. You stack the toes and the sides of the feet, keeping the hip just engaged up the way. That's it. And draw yourself into a side plank. Push away from the mat, lift up through the side body and the hand. Now, if you've got a right foot on the top, you can always hover the knee now. If you want to take an extension of this plank, come all the way forwards, sink down to the knees if you need to, allow a little stretch, just work the wrists if you need. Take a moment here, bring yourself back up to plank. Take a modified version of side plank by bringing the knee to the mat if you want to, and coming up into modified plank. So it's just a little side stretch there, Izzy. Or, Izzy, you can stack. So you stack the feet on top of each other. It's a really strong pose. So if it's too much, bring that top leg in front of you like a stabilizer. Aha, that's it. It will help your hip. Come forwards, bring to the knees. Just sit up and allow a shake of the hands. So just allowing a little bit of heat. If you've got cramp, it's a nice thing to do to sit on the toes as well. Give yourself a little toe yoga. Take a moment here with the shoulders. Time flies. I tell you, I could do 2-hour classes quite easily, but you'd all be quite tired, I reckon. And then we're going to come all the way back to seated and allow ourselves to come to a boat pose position. So again here, remember, you can keep the feet on the mat and support this boat pose at the back of the mat. So even just by tapping and lifting our legs, we're still engaging the hip flexors, we're still working the core. So what we don't want to do is round the spine and close the chest like a clamshell. So what we're doing is opening the chest and we're just allowing, so we're working hip flexors, but we'll actually, all these muscles are linked, it will then engage our core. You can bring that into half boat. You might find that you want to play tapping here, or you can draw a little height back up and then drop back down, or you might want to play with full boat, depending on how you feel. And then try not to roll back onto the radiator. So it's playing. And where I'm not going to be, see, sometimes it's just not going to happen. Allowing a play wherever you are. And that's it, even if it's gentle and it's just lifting. And do you know what? A huge amount of value in doing yoga through pregnancy as well. Massive amount. Just gently spring back to shape after. I can vouch for it. It was a bit of a long time ago though. Having said that, I did get into my work skirt before Sam was born yesterday, that I had my first teaching interview in. I kept it and it was purple. It went with my new jacket. So I was like, I'm going to wear that. So just taking a moment wherever you are, and we're going to come either to a kind of windshield wiper seated pose if you want to stay upright, Aliska, or you're very welcome to come down. And folks are, I'm just giving alternatives, just coming down to the mat and just allowing a little movement back and forwards. And maybe that's hugging the knees into the chest, which you can do seated, or maybe it's butterfly that you're coming into. You come to reclined butterfly if you want to. Whatever you want to do. If it's a rooted twist, as in a supine twist, where you stack the feet and bring the knees over, just take a moment. Some might even, like, I find that this is why I always use bridge towards the end of a practice, because we're just lifting up the hips, keeping the knees in line with the body. Still a pose that is available to you if you want to, Aliska, but actually you've gone into quite a nice reverse pigeon there, so that's fine. You start to learn what's good. And wherever you are, just taking a moment in a pose that allows you to just settle the spine. If you're in bridge, then feel free to be able to walk the feet towards you and gently clasp the ankles. Or you might just be in constructive rest pose. And that's fine too. Wherever you are, if you are starting to cool down, we're going to go into relaxation in a minute. So we've got nice time for relaxation. So if you have those layers again, then do start to pop the layers on. We are at least a little warmer than we were this time last year in here, when the windows were actually full open. So just allowing yourself to wrap up. Socks can go on, jackets can go on, hats. I bought myself a nice big woolly hairband today. Yeah, just like that one that Amanda's putting on. It's nice, lovely and warm. Or leggings or anything else that you want to bring to yoga. So yeah, I don't feel that you shouldn't be wearing a hat or gloves in class at the end, because it's actually totally and utterly fine. So it's nice and cozy, just be cozy. And then wherever you are, allow yourself to come to a position that for you is comfy. allowing yourself to settle. If you're in a seated position, just give yourself a chance to be comfy for longer by just gently, just an inch, drawing the spine back so that you actually start to stack the vertebrae, and that supports us. You feel the core engaged, maybe the inner thighs engaged. If you are in Shavasana, the options to just bend the knees into that resting pose. Allowing yourself just time and space for the breath to gently rise and fall. Just taking your awareness maybe to the right foot. Taking the awareness to the left foot. Maybe to the palm of the right hand. Palm of the left hand. The right shoulder. The left shoulder. Spine. The base of the spine. Feeling the back of the head supported. And if you're in seated, feeling spine just stretch a little. Lengthen, shoulders relax. Softening between the brow. And gently with the breath, when you take that inhale, filling the lungs a little, and then pushing that breath all the way down to your toes. And very gently bringing your awareness back to the body, to the hands, to the toes, allowing just a little movement. Maybe the head just goes side to side. And then if you are in Shavasana, when you're ready, just moving on to your left hand side. And when you're ready, allowing yourself to gently come up. Only when you've just taken a pause. Joining us back in Sukhasana. And maybe take the hands gently together. Just rub the hands gently together and create some warmth. Bringing the heels of the hands gently to the eyes. And thank you very much for joining class tonight. Okay. It's lovely to see everybody. And Rachel, I'll pop off on record and you take a moment where you are. Just nice to see you on Monday. I'll just pop. off the record button so I can pop it onto YouTube. Have a good week.